So welcome everyone to our Gateway Ambassador meeting. So for today, and I didn't send it around, I'm sorry, I'm sometimes really bad with not talking about or sending the agenda around before. So we have a submission at the Gateways Conference to do a learning lab on how to engage with your community and how to talk with them. And so one of the ideas is for today to go through the different topics of the learning lab. And I think, Shannon, we are the both only one today of the instructor who submitted that for the learning lab. So we both will lead the session. And everyone else can then work through different parts. And I bring up the paper that we can. It will be, so the learning lab, just for explanation, is at the Gateways Conference. Oh no, it's not a learning lab, it's a tutorial, sorry. I have also a learning lab, sorry. No, it's a 3 hours tutorial. And we go through different topics. First of all, we are starting with giving a presentation with successful user engagement strategies. And then we really want the tutorial to be something hands-on discussions, not only listening to people. And so the topic, we have, by the way, now, Shannon, I think 50 people who signed up. I know. I love it, but I'm like, okay, for 50 people, we need a couple of more instructors to have the breakout rooms. So looking forward to it. Yeah, it's happening in 1.5 weeks. So we will, let me bring up the paper. We submitted for that. Oh, by the way, yes, that was a little bit impolite of me. Since Jane, I know you already. Why I'm looking for the paper. I think everyone else knows each other by now, but maybe you introduce yourself. Is that okay?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jane Combs. I'm from the University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm the interim director for our Advanced Research Computing Center that we're just building. And some of you heard earlier that it's actually going to be, I think, a center finally. So, but part of what I've been doing for the last 5 years also is I call it like a concierge service. So myself and my colleague, Dr. Amy Latessa, she's more of a research facilitator, and but we've been trying to direct people, since we didn't have any services, to broader, to the national and regional services. So Science Gateways is one of the ones that we've been trying desperately to get people to use, because I think people need it. So I thought if we got bored, and I think Amy might be doing some of this too, we're going to maybe switch on and off, but so we're just really interested, and we're really trying to learn more about it so that we can help our researchers use it. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Sure.
So maybe everyone else introduces themselves also, because otherwise it's a little bit unfair for Jane. So maybe Kirk, you start. You are the next on my line.
Did you call on me? Okay, you did. Okay, all right, just to make sure. Yeah, hi, my name is Kirk T, and I'm a faculty member in the in the College of Media and Communication at Texas Tech University. I am a social scientist who study the adoption and implementation and the ultimate spread of cyber infrastructure and science gateways as innovations. That's what, in a nutshell, what I do.
Thanks, Kirk. Shannon?
My name's Shannon Bradley, and I'm the project manager for the Software Directorate at NCSA at the University of Illinois. We have several base projects that are gateways, but I joined so I could see how we could better engage with and better help those researchers that this is something that they need, but how to get them there appropriately.
Thank you. Julian?
I'd like to talk to Shannon Bradley more. But anyway, I'm Julian Pistorius. I work at the University of Arizona in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. I used to be at Cyverse, so I build research software cyber infrastructure. So I used to work on the cloud computing product for Cyverse called Atmosphere. And now I help build pipelines for remote sensing, like agricultural drones and things like that. So that's why I'm here. Oh, I'm also involved with the Research Bazaar, which is a community organization of researchers and engineers who, yeah, a grassroots organization for people to help each other.
Yeah, thanks. And Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve Brandt. I'm Assistant Director for Computational Science at the Center for Computation and Technology at Louisiana State University. And I am associated with a couple of different projects. The Einstein Toolkit, which has promised a gateway sometime in the next 4 years. The Agave project, which I'm sure people have heard of. And HPX, which is a local MPI replacement kind of thing that is being worked on at LSU.
Great, thanks. So, yeah, we are at the moment often a group between, let's say, I would say 5 to 6 to sometimes 9 to 10 people per call. So that is one thing I also would like to work on, that we have more people joining us. But at the moment it works well because each of us can really say as much as we want and exchange our ideas.
Really broad representation of different different roles too. That's very exciting. I think I would hire every one of you. You know, we need. I'm like, sensors. Okay, we need. You know, there's so much need. There's so much need. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And Julian is really good with that remote sensor technology. He and I have worked together on a project before. One of the ones he's working on, I had worked on for a while. So, yeah. I've been through one interview with him, so I can highly recommend that he interviews well and does well.
We just need to clone everybody. You know, we need so many people. It's great though.
Yeah, yeah. The chance, if you have already job descriptions or something, we can distribute it also via the Science Gateway newsletter or something. If that would be helpful.
And then usually if I get something from Science Gateways, I'll put it up on our Twitter, and then NCSA and the UFI picks that up and retweets. So if you want exposure here, just send it through Gateways and I'll retweet it out.
That's great.
Great. So let's go to the paper. I share my screen. So do you, no, I don't want to do that. Do you see the paper? Great.
Yes, but the font is very small.
Yes, I agree. So let's do the, oh, okay. Wait, I opened it here. I have to move you guys a little bit around, sorry. So is this better? So we have the 3 hours, but let me have a look. We have a break in there, yes. So that was definitely what we wanted also. So 10 minutes introduction. So I won't go through the whole paper. So we first motivate why this is a great topic for for gateways. And of course, gateways have customers and clients and the community, and every gateway creator hopes, of course, for a large community and have a good communication with them and to engage efficiently and effectively with them. So yeah, in the introduction, the typical thing, what will happen, yeah, during the tutorial, I think, Shannon, we can do something like that maybe next week and exchange some slides or something. So then 40 minutes gateway community presentations. The idea was here to invite people from the gateway conference and community. For example, I thought about the Galaxy team. I think a lot of people of you also heard about the Galaxy team. They have a really great community outreach. One of the ideas was also, of course, to invite one of you guys to give a 10-minute talk. So who would be interested to show, for example, one of the actions? And it doesn't have to be only about a community, only in gateways. So Julian, for example, if you would be interested to talk about the research bazaar, that would be one of the talks, how you interacted with the community to build up the research bazaar. So great. Yes. So it would be a 10-minute talk. The same, Steve Kirk and Jane, I don't put you directly on, you are the first time here. I don't do that. No. So Steve Kirk, I also thought, like, so Steve, I know you have to build the science gateway, but you could maybe talk about what are the steps you are planning for community outreach. Would that be something you would be interested in?
I could talk about that. I could say something about the Einstein Toolkit community. I don't know if that's of interest.
Yeah, you can also. So I'm not. I think community also for a toolkit. It doesn't have to be a gateway. It's a very similar thing. You want people to use your toolkit. So I would be also totally open to that. So Kirk, what is?
Can I follow up with you on this, because I actually did not sign up to. I did not plan to attend gateways.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Of course, No. It just, honestly, you know me all by now.
Yes.
I grab the people who are on the call. To keep it interactive, you know. But no, if you didn't plan for it, unfortunately, and yeah, I don't think that we make exceptions. If you would, for example, come only for one talk and present, you still would have to pay.
Yeah.
But there is support. That is the other. Oh yeah, I should give a shout out for the Gateways Conference. If you're not able to pay the registration fee of $100, and the registration is still open until a Monday, send an email to help@sciencegateways.org and ask to apply for it. Or on the website should be also, we can look that up after we go through this. You can apply for it at Gateways. We still have funding open if somebody is not able to support the talk. So that was then not fully true. So if you decide for a talk, you probably can get some support.
Got it. I will check on my schedule a little bit. I think so far I've been attending gateways kind of on and off, on 1 year on, 1 year off, and I think this year I didn't plan to. I didn't submit anything at all. So, but let me check my schedule. I'll get back to you. So,
great.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, and this year is maybe just also a shout out to maybe talk to other colleagues. The chance to get to know the Gateway community virtually. You don't have to travel. You might want to come only for the plenary session, or for, like, just get a feeling what's happening at the conference. I have told that a lot of people for PERC, for gateways, for supercomputing, because there are a lot of disadvantages with COVID. We don't have to, But this is, yeah, if you have never been at a conference, that might give you a chance to at least get an impression of the content and maybe whether the community is something you want to participate with. Then, so yeah, so there's still some funding if people are interested. Back to our exercise. So it was a Gateway community presentation. So Shannon and I will send them more planning also around, and there will be, so the idea was to have 4 or 5, so let's say 8 to 10 minutes, so not too many presentations, but also not too long. So the next was to do an elevator pitch exercise. And that is the idea. So everyone might already have heard about the elevator pitch. You have one project or this one gateway or this one, let's say, Einstein toolkit, and you have to sell it in an elevator in 1 minute to keep someone interested who will otherwise, you know, go away out of the elevator. And so the idea is here to do an exercise and talking about first, think about what is the target group you are talking about. So because that will also change your elevator pitch. Let's say you are at NSF in the elevator and you see some of the, you know, directors of NSF, you pitch your project probably differently than to one of your community members. So the idea of this exercise is to very clearly define before, for this one elevator pitch we create together for every project in one working group, because we can, if really 50 people show up, there will be different working groups of 4 or 5 people, because otherwise there's no chance that everyone can talk and do something. So the idea is here to say, select one of your target groups and then try to really say exactly, and I will give also then a form to help with what do I really want to say, how to, you know, to think about a napkin drawing. What is my project about, and what do I want to tell someone? And it will be a collaborative exercise. Everyone does it for one project. And after this half hour, everyone gets the chance, and maybe not with 50 people, I have to rethink that with Shannon. But in the group of 4 or 5 people, everyone has the chance to walk after 30 minutes with one sentence as elevator pitch about the project out of it. And there's a nice way of discussing it. What I like about this exercise, it always sounds so easy. You stand there and you have to say something in 1 minute, very precise. I mean, we can do it ad hoc now here. So pick one project and tell us in 1 minute what it does, and tell us who's the stakeholder you are talking to. Do I have someone who volunteers? Okay.
Okay, I'll go.
Great.
So does the elevator half pitch need to be on a gateway?
No, it can be on a project, a toolkit, a community you are working with. Something you want to explain to someone where you want to buy in from, the interest. Maybe, let's say at NSF, you want money for that project. How do you pitch? How do you get someone interested? That could be. How do you get a colleague interested? Let's say you know that you need definitely someone from the libraries, and you are in the elevator with a librarian, and you know this would be so great on my project. How do you pitch the idea of your project to this person? that is the idea of the elevator pitch, to really practice to focus on the target group, or really the person in front of you, but also trying to sell the points which are important for the target group and which are important for you to bring over, that you can keep her interested or get interested.
Is the one that I've been working on in my head, using this, because we've done this once before in our meetings, is when I'm talking about who the software directorate is at NCSA, so we can get collaborators. And my elevator pitch that I've started honing is, think of the software directorate as a consulting firm for researchers. Researchers have these research needs, but they often don't have the programming skills that we can bring to the table as collaborators to help them do leverage what we have already created at NCSA. So our researchers can start quicker. They have a wider network of people to draw from when conducting research partnered with us. And we have experience in a diverse set of scientific backgrounds, everything from biology and phenomics to medicine and kidney cancer, to tracking water quality in the Great Lakes region, to working in with labs who are looking at tracing ticks so they can track Lyme disease. So we are not code monkeys, but we are research software engineers that would love to help be that partner for a research scientist.
Great. I really like it.
But what I'm looking for is to be able to make sure that it's easy enough that I can get the interest from our partners, but I want my research software engineers to be able to know this well enough that whenever they're talking with collaborators, that they've already got this in their pocket when somebody says, well, hey, what do you do? That I don't get, 52 different answers from 52 different programmers.
Yeah, that is the other reason to really also practice it with the team, because that makes so much sense that people get the same information, and I'm not getting like, oh, are they working on the same team? So giving you some feedback to your pitch, I really like that you said, like, so leveraging what is already there, the experience with different research areas and research projects. I think that is important. If you have a, let's say, full-blood researcher in front of you, besides the experience doing something for research, maybe additionally mentioning that the team itself has also interest in research, that it's not like them and us, that it's like, yeah, we are here because we are interested in it. It's not only doing it for researchers. So that would be ad hoc my only feedback. Otherwise, I really like it. It was this showing already experience, showing that there is not only experiences, but also really people to leverage and to talk to, and that it's embedded in an organization. So feedback from anyone else? Okay. So
how long are they supposed to be? I mean, like, are these kind of, or would you recommend, like
a minute.
Elevator can mean really quickly, and that's kind of, that would be my only feedback. It's kind of like, if people lose interest, I think, in like a minute.
Yeah, a minute. The recommendation is a minute.
Yeah. So that's hard to.
Yes, it is hard. I practice it a lot.
Yeah. I really like too, though, how she said, you know, to have everybody say the same thing. I had an offsite meeting one time, and it was the best. It was the Cincinnati Zoo, which you've never been. It's really great. But the thing that we all realized at that was that if you ask somebody at the zoo a question, you ask 10 people, they're all going to answer the same way. They have been somehow, you know, and that's what we were trying to do then with our bigger group was, you know, right, we should not, if we all work in the IT department and somebody asks me a question and somebody asks Sandra a question, they should get the same answer. And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do, but it's the consistency, and then your organization is more trusted, because otherwise they're like, well, do these people know what they're doing? So I think that's, yeah, no, we don't.
It's almost always the case that we don't know what we're doing.
But we don't want everybody to know that, right?
Right.
We have to hide it a little bit. Anyway, I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I like starting out with a question too, that you started out with a question. That's kind of a good little nab.
Okay. So, yeah, anyone else want to go? Otherwise, we can go to the next topic. Okay. And otherwise, really interrupt me, by the way, because I recognize today that I have a further delay than normally. So I don't hear someone talking and start to talk already. And then someone started also, and it's like, oh, she doesn't hear me, or she doesn't. No, I only have a little bit more of a delay today. So jump in, talk over me, even though we don't like that normally in debates, but this is because of delay. So the communication introduction, what I thought here, and I'm open also for discussion there, is more really in that regard to talk about actively listening, how to ask questions. When you are talking, let's say if I'm from computer science, I'm a researcher also in computer science, but I work normally with researchers from totally different fields. So I have probably jargon. So how to avoid jargon would be one topic. One would be actively listening, and also if you're talking, yeah, if you can prepare for a meeting. Some meetings are talk, but if you can prepare for a meeting, it's the first meeting, for example, with faculty. It is a good thing to ask them about their research, and I know it as a researcher myself. Of course, we feel pampered if you ask me how my research goes, you know, what is happening at the moment, to have a nice start off. That doesn't mean some people think then sometimes, oh, when I ask first, it sounds like that I don't know the field. Honestly, researchers, of course, know probably their research the best. They are the experts in exactly their research. So asking that what is currently going on, or how, I mean, everyone is probably tired of it, but I would, for example, start at the moment also off with, does COVID influence research at the moment? With topics, or, you know, with something, except for that we all have Zoom fatigue, but, you know, for that regard. So the idea was here really also having a communication exercise in a way that there are two people meeting. It's a, you know, role play a little bit. One is a researcher, one is a computer scientist or a facilitator, and one is the observer. And depending on how big we can make the groups, maybe we should have 3 or 4 observers. The idea was really this meeting communication exercise to give an example how to wait, I just have seen that there are comments in the chat. So as I said, if there's something I should react on, please interrupt me. No, but with the communication exercise, what I want to do, so the cyber ambassadors have brought out a couple of nice exercises with use cases. The researcher comes with a project where they need help and they need a science gateway, or they need a toolkit, or they need HPC. So people can decide what they want. And then on the other side, they give something given what is available in your center, in the center they're working for. And this conversation then to play a little bit the role, and that the observers can say whether there was jargon. I've done this communication exercise now, I think, 3 or 4 times. And I still, if I'm in the role of the computer scientist, I sometimes still mess it up with the jargon. I don't realize that I bring in a word that is not, the normal word for everyone. So what I liked about the exercise is it's not long. I mean, we have 20 minutes time, but this is with finding the groups. They're talking for 5 minutes, have a problem to talk about. And then afterwards, the group can discuss whether they have seen jargon, whether there was a reaction on different communication, if there is a misunderstanding, whether there was not something like actively listening. If, for example, so, you can do the role play. It's dependent, of course, in that moment, how people feel, how they do the conversation. But they get these scenarios where they can play it through. And how much they mention from the scenarios are, and of course, in each of the scenarios will be a problem. For example, the researcher has to have data for the publication in a month, but exactly during this month is a big maintenance. So how do you tell a researcher that, he cannot have the computer night and day? So, because we are, in research, of course, everyone expects us to have it always there and always available and up to speed for them. So yeah, these are some examples, and I definitely, Shannon, I will go through all these different kinds of things. We will plan it. So that would be the communication exercise. So I think the time is okay for it, because it's nice to have a little bit of still Q&A afterwards, and if people felt like what is helpful, were they tapping into something, not realizing without the observers, they wouldn't have realized that they did this, let's say, and there's never an error, but something like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that I did that. Or going too fast over certain topics, or not explaining things enough, or yeah. So this would be an exercise that would take this Q&A. Do you hear the dogs? Yeah, my neighbors have dogs, and when they meet each other in the hallway, never sure whether they really like each other or not. Wow, they're really excited. Yeah, so that is something I would, for example, not do now, and we also have not so much time for it, but that would be really more talking about communication strategies and having a nice exercise with 4 or 5 people, and laying some ground rules and having problems there. So I think that is something that will be different from group to group anyway, how people react on the problem, how they want to sell it to their. So the next, and I can explain that a little bit more, Jane. We did the last 2 sessions of in this call a brain trust exercise. The brain trust exercise, the idea is you have a problem, you describe to the group, and you ask, for example, like, so Julian did 2 of those, very, very cool. And you ask, for example, so what would you do if you have to solve this problem? That means everyone jumps in with an idea, or, you know, and plays through different scenarios, and it's like an expert circle, and there's nothing, you know, right or wrong. It's just like, oh, if I hear that, what have you thought about this kind of, you know, solving, or maybe looking up a different problem, or so the experience with brain trust, even though it sounds easy, it's like brainstorming and in a group, like, and there are 2 different modi you can use. So one is really to announce the topic in advance, that people can already think about it. And we had a great dynamic with that. And sometimes people just also don't announce the topic, but it's really an ad hoc topic, come into the group, someone, you know, explains the problem, and then everyone can first, you know, for example, write down or think about, oh, okay, what would I do with this? And then jump in with your first thoughts. So it's very ad hoc, it brings really interesting results. I have never had a session where it was not beneficial for people. I know, it sounds.
Have you done it virtually before, Sandra?
Yes, we have done it the last 2 times on this call virtually.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's good. Because, you know, some of this stuff, it's hard to know if it will translate into our new world of, but that's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So that is the brain trust exercise. From the last calls, I thought that I might have a little bit time for a brain trust exercise, but we have 18 minutes. Maybe I do a really short one. So, because one of my ideas was, and maybe, you know, I do it a little bit more extensive the next time then. So yeah, we are the Gateway ambassadors, and we have the virtual meetings. We would have also, without COVID, our monthly meetings virtual, so that wouldn't change. But one of the ideas is, of course, to have a 1 year also really face-to-face meeting, for example, at the Gateways conference, that people can come there, or have certain different conferences where we can combine also meeting with each other as a group, and have maybe also quality time and social time to foster the collaboration a little bit more. And one of my ideas now with the brain trust is, because I know, for example, my strengths is in bringing people, especially also together when they are face-to-face meetings. So now getting more dynamic and more uptake of the Gateway ambassadors. So what I've done already is, so we do, for example, now the tutorial, and will advertise that it's organized by the Gateway ambassadors and what the group is. There will be a learning lab about the Gateway ambassadors and science ambassadors also at Gateways. So I will apply for that. Then, I talk about Gateway ambassadors at different events. They're mentioned in the Science Gateway newsletter. So do you have further ideas, let's say with this at the moment really in this virtual world, how I can reach out further and get people interested besides the newsletter and let's say besides talks I give at virtual events. Do you have an idea how I could engage a wider community?
Well, what about other organizations? Oh,
So,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you said other organization and Shannon, and you said?
Social media of any kind?
Social media, so not only newsletters, but so something like tweeting and yeah, maybe I like that. I like also other organizations. I like that a lot. My problem with other organizations is sometimes only, so I ask them already to talk, for example, about the Gateway Ambassadors or at other events. So what would be, at other organizations, what would be the idea, Jane, you have there?
Well, I was just thinking that I'm for the CARC group. I'm the co-coordinator for the Emerging Centers track.
Okay.
And, you know, we're always looking for people to come and speak and share, you know, how people can get involved in the community. And so that would be something I'm sure, you know, and CARC has a researcher facing track. And,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we could do we've been doing these group calls where, because, you know, so many of these things overlap. So we could do something, you know, where these are the different, you know, we could have campus champions come and we could have like, you know, all the different champions that people could, you know, be, and they could help find what their interest is, you know, or, and you can even talk about gateways, which we probably need to do that anyway. So that might be a separate thing. But yeah, I know that definitely need to schedule that one. But, you know, I guess that's, you know, I'm just thinking like CASC, you know, there's just all these different little groups of people that have different ways to, but sometimes we get too much information too. And so I was really just thinking about my own personal organization that we're working on.
No, I like that. That was one of the things I also, for example, I give often, not this year, but last year I gave a talk at the virtual residency about science gateways, and I've given one to the campus two to the campus champions, and also about the gateway ambassadors. You're right. Of course, I should intensify my outreach more and talk to more people who already, especially when calls are already set up. It's like being not how I'm used to, but Sandra on the road to all the webinar calls to talk about gateways. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, I probably should do that, and then use something like Twitter and announce. So I talk about the gateway ambassadors to do a little bit more advertisement for it. So the other thing is we will bring up the video clips in a channel, in a YouTube channel next week from our meetings. So I hope to get also more traction to that. So because I can announce it, I should tweet it then also if you are interested what we are talking about and which exercises we have, and it's very open. Everyone can bring in suggestions for topics, and really also the other thing is with the format to say that we do brain trust exercises. People can come with their challenge or a problem they have and say, can we discuss that today? And the experience is that normally a lot of ideas, at least additional ideas, come also like now. So yeah, I should advertise that more, definitely. So
You know, I wonder too, I think sometimes people, I know just from this emerging centers group, people are afraid they have to be an expert before they could join something like this. And, you know, like for me, I'm not an expert in it, but I want to know more about it. So maybe there's, you know, it's something about sending that message that, you know, you don't have to be an expert. Because I think, you know, you think to be an ambassador, I have to be somebody that
Yeah.
can tell everybody everything about this. And, you know, you might get a broader group of people if people understood that, and maybe it says that. I mean, for some reason, I thought I could do it. So, but.
That is true. I definitely should look at the message, how we pitched it, that people can join, and that everyone is welcome. Also, people who say, "Oh, I only want to observe. You know, like, I'm here to see what you're doing. Not, you know." It's also totally fine with us. And I know, for example, that we had Annelie here who said, "Oh, I don't really have time to be an ambassador, but you know, I would like to listen what you're doing." So that, yeah, so that happens, and maybe we should. And she is the director for humanities department, so very diverse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we should advertise that we are very diverse. Maybe I should, you know, you send me all a photo, and we put the Gateway ambassadors on the website with a little blurb why you are interested in the Gateway ambassadors. Would be something that you like or no?
I think that'd be nice.
So.
Yeah, because people can see that it's so many different types of people and roles and jobs and.
Oh, hi, Jack. I didn't see that you joined. I'm so sorry.
I joined late. Got too many calls today.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, but so.
And he wanted to know if the campus champions knew about us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave 2 talks at the campus champions. Last year, one, and the beginning of this year. Oh God, it's already October. Maybe last year and 2 years ago. Maybe I should give again one because there are new people. Yeah. So last year, at least, I know that I talked about that we're planning to have the Gateway ambassadors. And 2 years ago, probably I was not talking about ambassadors because we planned it not this way 2 years ago. It's really a plan from last year, so maybe I should do that. So the Toastmasters Technique, what was that again? It rings a bell, Julian, but
it's just a way to focus on kind of what matters, and is a way to sandwich a compliment, some helpful criticism, and in a compliment, it helps people take it more.
Oh, the sandwich. I've heard of that.
Yes, the sandwich. Yes. I was going to say that on a recorded Zoom call.
okay. So didn't I give positive feedback yet? So that I hope I gave always positive feedback. I'm always thrilled about the ideas I get from you guys.
Throw in a pickle.
So, okay. So yeah, I think for the moment, any further ideas? So that was already, I probably should tweet about us. And if you're all fine with it, I would love to put you on the website, like, you know, you send me all your pictures and.
You put the science ambassadors up, don't you?
Slides, we are also putting slides up, yeah.
No, the science ambassadors as opposed to the gateway ambassadors.
Oh, we will put up the current science ambassadors, but we had never put up the gateway ambassadors. So that is the idea now, to put up the gateway ambassadors. I know it's a little bit different. It's not, so the science ambassadors can apply for a year. They get some money. That doesn't mean each of you can also apply as a science ambassador and stay a gateway ambassador. The gateway ambassador is more a group that doesn't have this defined ending after a year, and you know, it's more like really a group of people supporting gateways and each other with exchanging experiences and new ideas.
I hadn't heard of the science ambassadors.
That's how I knew about this, was from them.
Okay.
So yeah, I lead also the science ambassador program. If you are interested, I can talk with you about that.
Okay, well, I need to know what it is, I guess, so.
So the science ambassador program compared with the gateway ambassador program is that we want a science case where you, for example, create a science gateway and you need support to present it at a conference, or you want support to publish an open access journal.
Okay, so it's like on the other side of the gateway problem. You have the scientist and you have the gateway infrastructure people, and these are the two different groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the gateway ambassador can be also science people. That is, you know, there is this mixture. With a science case, we only hope, not only, we hope to reach out to people and communities which are not already integrated in the community, to have new ones. For example, this year I designed the program a little bit different. First of all, because of COVID, because in the past it was travel money that was awarded. Now it's publications and maybe registration fees for, you know, virtual conferences. And the important thing is really, when it's publications, for example, that Science Gateways is mentioned. It's not like, oh, if it's a fantastic science project, but never mention Science Gateways, that is not helpful for us as a Science Gateway Institute. So it has to have in the publication a link to Science Gateways. And the other condition with the money we have is that we say, and we want between 5 to 10 contacts, dependent on how much money you get. We can contact them for questions, what they need maybe from a Science Gateway Institute to build further personal contacts. So we will really call up the people, give, the science ambassadors will give to us. So that's the idea for extending.
I should think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this, I can be in the Einstein Toolkit thing. We don't have a gateway yet, but we're planning to have one.
Yeah, we can talk about.
So I'm going to need to step out.
So yeah, thank you very much, Shannon. And we should find a time next week to prepare further and invite people for talks. And so Steve, you already said yes. Julian said yes. So
yeah, and we can divide up the schedule and figure out, you know, because if we divide it up, then I can do some slides and you can do some slides, and other speakers can do slides, and it won't take long to put it together.
I agree. I think I know I put my timeline a little bit on it, so sorry for that. I thought, oh yeah, we have a week time to do the slides. I know not everyone likes to have only a week time. Sorry for that.
Well, good to see you all.
It was good seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Yes, good seeing you. Bye.
Okay, so we have also only now 1 minute left. Yeah, everyone who is signed up for Gateways, I hope I see you latest there, and I will come back to you Steve and Julian.
Mhm.
And Jane, it was great that you joined. And
Thank you for letting me attend, and nice to meet everybody.
Brandt.
Yeah.
then we will see each other in about a month again.
Or gateways, yes.
Or gateways, yeah.
Or latest at gateways. Okay, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.